Hey, hello. And so we are going to start working on our second part of the learning how to do parting the wild horse's mane, this posture. I'm breaking it into multiple videos, so you have time to practice on one element, work on the hands a little bit, and then work on the feet, and then put them together, and so just take some time absorbing the information and putting it all together. So, up to this point, hopefully you've been working on this movement, the flow that goes with this. If you feel fairly confident with doing this, if you haven't done this video, I'll send a link either way, and you can start working on that. I have Rocky here, says hello. So, once you feel comfortable with this is kind of the basis for the hand movements anyway. Now we're going to actually getting into where we are putting it into the form, into the movement and the posture. And I think the best way to do this, it doesn't just spring, we don't just start doing parting the wild horse's mane out of just popping out of nowhere or anywhere. So we're going to kind of integrate it into the form a little bit. So we're going to have a little bit of an opening, and then we're going to go do the posture in that form. So here we go. Let me just show it to you first. So starting out. So there it is. That's parting the wild horse's mane inside of a form. Doesn't matter what form it is. But anyway, I want you to see that it does have context to it. It's not just coming out of anywhere. So let's break this down a little bit. We're going to start out just with our feet together. Big deep breath. Hang the skeleton. Sink the flesh. Applying all of the points of Wu Ji, except that we have our feet together, obviously. All right, and so now we're going to pour that weight into the right foot and step out into Wu Ji. So here we are in Wu Ji. The hands come up and down. I'm shifting over to my left. I hold my ball, I take my ball over, I'm stepping out, and then parting the wild horse's mane. Very good. Okay, so when I'm presenting these videos, I have the video flipped around. So when I have my right hand up, this is my right hand, you should be able to mirror me with your right hand. So you're not always trying to think about, okay, if he has his right up, I need to put my left up, and it just gets very complicated. So with that in mind, so we're one more time, starting out, big deep breath, exhale, shifting the weight into the right foot, sink. So just allow all that weight to sink into that foot, and now we step out with the right. And now we go into Wu Ji, so we should be 50-50 weight, and all of the elements of Wu Ji are in place that we've learned. If you haven't learned about Wu Ji, I have lots of videos and information on that you can look into. Then we begin by moving hands up and down, sink. We're coming to the left, so all the weight is on the left. Right hand is on the top, left hand is on the bottom. We carry that weight across. And here comes the posture we're working on. We're stepping out and releasing. Here we go. So, parting the wild horse's mane, this move, see how that is? I have the mane here, and I'm parting it. There. Another video, I'll get into the martial application of this. For right now, we're just learning technique. We're learning dance moves here. Down the road, I might put in something about releasing the energy Maybe not, this is more for advanced, but I will definitely put in a, how it's used in a fighting situation. But anyway, this is the movement here. Okay, so let's talk about, we're gonna just isolate the hands here and then work on the feet. So we are holding our ball. Our ball is about, the torso sized. We have the right hand on the top and left hand is just under the dantian. Okay? So this is when we go to here, we step out, the hands come up and down. The left hand is doing not a lot of work, it just slides under. The right hand is doing all the work coming up to the top. So down and up. Then I'm putting all my weight onto the left foot, and then I transfer that weight over to the right. Then we step out with the left, and then we part the wild horse's mane. Okay? So let's break down the hands. And let's break down the left hand. Remember that the left hand is under the dantian. So I want you to imagine that you are throwing a frisbee. Throwing a frisbee. And see, this is the movement here to this, but I'm looping it around, so I'm bringing my hand back so we can create kind of like a looping GIF almost. And so we can just continue to do this until we feel comfortable with the movement. So I'm bringing the hand back and throwing it out again, if that makes sense. So we are throwing a frisbee. So that comes from the lower dantian and comes out. Now I've been teaching this for many years and I have all different kinds of interpretations and illustrations of what this could be. So if you think you're throwing a frisbee, perhaps you're throwing a plate at the wall. Maybe you're throwing your cell phone out the window, happily and joyfully, well, maybe after this class, but you're throwing your cell phone, your iPhone is getting thrown out the window. Maybe you're saying your Shakespeare lines. Or how about you're serving the hors d'oeuvres. Serving the hors d'oeuvres. Anyway, these are all different ways that you can kind of remember what's happening with this hand that's down below. Because remember, we have to learn how to do this with both sides. Okay? But that's what's going on with that one. Now, how about the top one? The top one, remember, is up here. In this case, it's our right hand. So that one comes down and to the side. So again, we're looping it around, down, and to the side. So if you imagine there was a kind of a nice sized dog there, not the size of Rocky, but anyway, a nice sized dog, you're patting the dog on the head. Or maybe you're patting your kid on the head, I don't know. Coming down here. And we loop it around back up to the top, down here. Okay. So now let's put them together. This is kind of where we start, getting into that domain. A little bit of a, you have tongue twisters and you have body twisters. This is kind of a body twister. It's a brain twister. So we start here. So as I throw that frisbee, I'm going to pat the dog. And then let's bring it back. Throw the frisbee, throw your iPhone or the cell phone, and then bring it back. Pat the dog. Okay, so that's the move. And this is, if you remember the last one we were doing with this, that motion, this is the same motion, but I'm just really breaking it down for you, really to make it a lot more precise. And that's the way Tai Chi Chuan is. It gets very, very minuscule, picky. And so we need to, that's a part of the fun of this. It gets very fiddly. Okay, so here we go. And coming around. Very good. Okay, now we could even, just as doing this just for our own edification, if you want to do this just as a way of relaxing, letting the body flow, you can inhale coming in and exhale going out. Notice we haven't done anything with the legs yet. So inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. It feels so good. Okay, so that's the hands. What about the feet now? So remember, we're holding the ball. All the weight is in the left foot. So we are punishing that left foot. You're just feeling as much as your weight as you can put down in there. And then we're going to release that weight and put it into the right foot. So don't worry about the hands at all. We're just talking about feet here. So here to here. Okay? And this is basically when you see that symbol of the Taiji 2, the yin and yang symbol. As I've said a few times, that symbol, it should not be seen as being static. It is a moving symbol. And this is what's being represented here. This is the yang, heavy, full leg. This is the light yin leg. And that it's this constant movement of where things are shifting from one to the other. So now this is yang and this is yin. The lifeguard is talking away over here if you can hear him. But anyway, so we're moving back and forth here, shifting that weight. So when we're here, we shift the weight over into the right. So as heavy as the weight was in your left, that weight should be now in the right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to step out, plant the heel, plant the toe, line up that foot, and then we're turning into a front stance. Now the front stance, remember we talked about front stance in the past, but a front stance, whatever leg it is, that front leg, foot is going straight ahead. There is a 90-degree angle going down into the ground. You want to be able to see your toe when you're doing your front stance. You don't want to be over here. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. The main one is that your energy is not moving this way. You're not moving beyond. The energy should be moving down into the ground and not moving forward. So this will, if you think of it that way, that your energy is just moving down into the ground, you will not go any further with the knee. So if you see what that means, so when you're going forward, the energy goes down. So front leg, hello Rocky, how are you? So he always thinks I'm getting out. He's always around when I'm doing Tai Chi, and but he just doesn't have a clue what's going on here. Anyway, so that's the front leg. The rear leg, slightly bent, 45-degree angle. Now there are teachers, and I know my teacher is always telling me to have my legs straight. Well, I don't know. There's differences in opinion, how things to work, and so this is, that's the way I'm learning, is with having a slightly bent leg with a 45-degree angle. So we are on, the most important thing is we are not on a tightrope, like in a lot of yoga poses, warrior pose. We are on a railroad track. So this is the front stance, the classic front stance. There should be space in between. There's a lot of reasons for this. The main reason is that Tai Chi Chuan was originally created as a fighting style. And if you're fighting like this, you're going to get knocked over pretty easy. If you're here, 60-40 in your weight, a little bit more in the front, then you have a lot more options with your moves and mobility, right? You have a lot more stability. So we're not here, we are here, and imagine those lines of the railroad track here. Each foot is on a different rail. The last thing we remember is our shoulders and our hips are pointing the same direction as that front toe. So wherever that front toe is pointing, our shoulders and hips are both pointing in that direction. So if I am here, let's imagine if I had laser beams shooting out of my hips and my shoulders, as weird as that would be. We need to guide those lasers frontwards. And do you notice when I start to move, I'm pivoting on these toes, right? I'm pivoting. It's almost, I don't want to get kind of morose or gross, but if you imagine that you nailed your foot into the ground and then you're spinning on that foot, that's the sense. You're pivoting and the heel is sliding around to adjust into the front stance. I know that's a lot of information I just gave you. Play this a couple times and just, you know, let it marinate. Okay, so that's front stance. And we're going from this stance, and then we straighten up into a front stance. So that's the front stance. So back to what we're talking about. All the weight is here on the left foot. All the weight goes onto the right foot. Then we step out, plant the heel, plant the foot, should be facing straight ahead. And now we're going to straighten up those lasers, everything's, so now we're, should be 60-40 in our feet, should be on a railroad track. And yeah, and our lasers, everything is pointing to the front. Yes, so that's the front posture. Now, are we ready to put the hands and the feet together? Yes, we are. Good. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We have all of our weight here. On the left, sink it down. Let's carry the weight over. We step out and plant. Notice how I didn't move the hands at all. And then everything happens at the same time. So the hips are moving, I'm pivoting, the shoulders, I'm throwing the frisbee and patting the dog at the same time. See how that happens? One more time. Here I am. Shift the weight over. I step out, plant the heel, plant the toe. So you're not doing any movement with the hands until you are secure in that front leg. Then everything happens at the same time. There we are, parting the wild horse's mane. That's it. Now, a little word about the step. I was kind of doing an advanced example of the step where I'm stepping straight out like this. I don't encourage that when you're first starting out. What I would encourage is to step in and step out. It's easier, it gives you a better sense of your balance, and it starts to groove in your mind where I need to step each time. Eventually, you'll get to where you can just step out. You'll know exactly where that step is, because it's very deceiving. And let me show you why it's deceiving. Let's say that I stepped out. You would normally think, I'll just step out 90 degrees, right? But when you go to turn, notice now, I'm back on the railroad track, on the trapeze. I'm back on the tightrope. So you almost have to step out beyond what you think is comfortable. So step out, where you're like, this is weird. You plant the foot. Then when you turn, then you'll realize, okay, now I'm on the railroad track. That makes perfect sense. So hopefully you can understand that. We don't want to step too close in, because when we turn out, we're going to be very unbalanced. And the way we like to do that to practice, you can either do a U shape, turn, or you can do a V shape. So from here, so I'm coming in and coming out. Whatever feels easier for you, and just play with all of them. Maybe you can do this and get it the first time. Good for you. But anyway, whatever feels easier. So let's go through the whole thing again, from beginning to end, into our circle. Look how much you've learned in, what, 15 minutes? Big deep breath, exhale. All the weight goes into that right foot. Step out with the left. And then we slide into Wuji. Give yourself room under the arms. Float the bones, sink the flesh. Good. Hands come up. And down. All the weight into the left. All the weight into the right. Either do a V or a U or step straight out. Now release. Good. Everything together. Parting the wild horse's mane. We'll do it one more time, this time with the breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, pouring the weight into the right foot. Exhale, stepping out into Wuji. Inhale, coming up. And exhale, sink. Let your core, everything sinks against the bones. Remember, the bones are floating. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Very good. And let's do it one more time. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. So this is all you. You've learned this new posture. So here we go. Very good. Excellent. Okay, well done. So that's the second part. There's another video and another one, and maybe another one coming. So bear with me. These take time to edit and to get done just right for you. So have a great rest of your day. Take care, and I'll see you soon.